Hi, it's me, Vicki Marie, and I just had to come on and make this video. I wasn't going to do a video today. I am absolutely speechless. For any of you that follow true crime or any of you that know anything about, crimes that have claimed a lot of attention in the UK, one of the most probably wicked crimes was the murder of Becky Watts. And Becky was murdered by her stepbrother and his girlfriend. Now, I need to do an actual video on the whole horrible story from start to finish. But her stepbrother Nathan and his girlfriend Shauna Hoare, which is a very appropriate name for, in fact, it's an insult to horse, to be honest. You can tell I'm really, really angry because this poor girl, she was just a teenager, and her stepbrother, right, let me show you some photos of them. Gosh, I don't know where to start. I will do obviously the whole story in a proper video or maybe in a live because this warrants a lot of attention. But I just to come on now, I've just literally seen this on the news, and it's one of those I'm absolutely fuming. So this is them. So this is Nathan Matthews. He was 28 years old at the time. He was obsessed with Dexter, and he was also obsessed with young teenage girls. This is his girlfriend, Shauna, and she was pregnant, as at the time you can see. They committed this horrible crime in a house where there were children. They dismembered Becky after doing whatever to her. Who knows what they did to her before that. But they dismembered her and hid her in a suitcase, which they gave to a friend to look after for them in their shed. The friend not knowing what was in the suitcase. Anyway, as you can see, Shauna was pregnant at the time and she went on to have her baby in prison. She was then 21. He was jailed for life with minimum term of 33 years. Again, even that really is only 28. So 33 years, that's 61 he'll be when he comes out. He still have life in him for what he did. And Shauna was implicated in all of it. She had DNA from Becky on like a visor, like one of those visors that they must have worn to dismember Becky's body. Her DNA, Shauna's DNA was found on one of them. So she was there present as she was being dismembered. She contributed to the cover-up plan, to the parents, etc. She was complicit in everything. And also they found texts on her phone where him and her had been exchanging disgusting texts about young girls, that she was saying that she would knock them over the head and kidnap them so he could do what he wanted to them, or they both could do what they wanted to them. So so she was only 21. She was only given 17 years, but she's only served half of that 17 years and she has been released. This monster is walking around and nobody knows where, because be sure she'll have been given a completely new identity, protected. Oh my God. So when I do the full video, you will see the interview she did, how she pretended she didn't know anything. Oh, no, just like tried to put on this innocent girl sort of attitude, because she was very young. She was only 21. She was very young when she started seeing him. He had a thing about underage girls, and his stepsister, Becky, she was scared of him. and she told her friends she was scared of him. And she wasn't protected. And not only she wasn't protected, this woman, this hateful, horrible, horrible woman, I'm sorry, nobody can tell me that she is now a different person than she was when she went into prison 8 years ago or whatever. Do you know, 2015, yeah. So this is what this is all we know. Nathan Matthews suffocated his stepsister in her bedroom in Bristol in February 2015 following a sexually motivated kidnap plot. At the end of the day, we don't know what else he did to her or what she did to her, because she participated in his, sick fantasies, etc. They found all her texts. They didn't like her, so he and his girlfriend Shauna Hoare targeted Becky because of their shared dislike of her and their sexual interest in petite teenage girls. Goodness me. So here's Becky. It's just not right, is it? So the mother of murdered teenager Becky Watts has told of her anger after learning that one of her cold and evil killers has been released from prison. And the other thing is, at the end of the day, Becky's mother, how can I put this? So it was the son, Nathan, the stepson. It was, so it wasn't her mother. Becky's mother is not her mother. He is the son of Becky's stepmother. So Becky's mother had separated from Becky's father. Becky's father had married again, and unfortunately for everyone, he had married Nathan's mother. Goodness me, I just don't. Do you know what? If that was me, I'll tell you what, I'd be trying to hunt her down. I don't know about you. If that was my daughter who'd been murdered by this woman and him, I would be trying to hunt. I honestly would. I don't believe in, lynch mobs and things like that. But for me, if that was my daughter, how could you not try and find this woman? And you'd be so angry. So both were found guilty of kidnap, perverting the course of justice, preventing a lawful burial, and possessing 2 stun gun torches. But because she only received a determinate sentence, Hoare, now 29, was automatically released from prison on license halfway through her sentence without the involvement of the parole board. Oh my God. So there was it was just automatic. It was always going to happen. So Becky's mother, Tanya Watts, said she knew this day was coming. She was told in a phone call on Friday morning. She's not even 30. She's got her whole life ahead of her, and she's got a future. She's got children. So what the hell? Are they going to be put with her? Is she going to be allowed access to her children? Whereas when we go to talk to our daughter, we're talking to the ground, she told Bristol Live. The main feeling is anger. I'm so angry, but what can I do? It's been hanging over me for a while and I've been counting down the days. But now she's out there somewhere. What can I do? How do I feel? I don't want her to feel like she's free to walk down the street without a care in the world after what she did. I think she's cold and evil. After Becky was killed, Matthews and Hoare bundled her body into their car before driving it to their home, where it would later be dismembered in their bathroom. Her remains were then hidden in a nearby shed, where they were eventually discovered weeks later. And one of the conditions of Hoare's release reportedly apparently prevents her from returning to Bristol, although the Ministry of Justice would not comment on the details of her release. So if you don't live in Bristol, this woman could be living next door to you. So Bristol is safe, hallelujah. But what about everybody else? Nobody else is safe. Because this woman, honestly, we're going to look into this case. I'm going to do a video on this case, and you will see this woman, 7 years, 8 years for what she did. So a Ministry of Justice spokesperson said, "We know this will be an incredibly difficult time for Becky Watts' loved ones, and our heartfelt thoughts remain with them. Offenders like Shauna Hoare face some of the strictest licence conditions and can be put back behind bars if they break the rules at any point." Ooh, that's okay, Shauna, because just be careful. Yeah, so if she goes and murders some other poor young girl, then that's okay because she'll get put back in prison immediately. We've also changed the law so the most heinous offenders face longer in prison. So it sounds like they've changed the law since then. Dear me, dear me. Honestly, because this case, you know, I know a lot about this case because it's one of the worst cases because he was her stepbrother, but her brother, you know, like they grew up together after their parents got together. Now, I want to get some pictures up of Becky. Hi. So we've got some more pictures of Becky here. That's this lady here is Nathan's mum, and she's living with Becky's father. And I mean, it's not her fault, obviously. I mean, it must have been awful. But so she was only 16, but look at her eyes. Look at Shauna Hoare's eyes. I cannot believe. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. When I saw this, I just couldn't believe it. You know, so here's Becky. She's just a 16-year-old girl. He supposedly didn't like her attitude towards his mother. It was nothing to do with that. He was just a perverted murderer. Bless her. So there you go. So wherever you live, this woman, Shauna Hoare, she could be living right next door to you now. Anybody new moved in, could be her. Disgusting. I honestly don't know how these families cope with it. How do you cope? If that was my daughter, and knowing all the things that they did to Becky, you know, it wasn't like, an argument and a temper and, just in the heat of the moment. They planned it. They bought all the, he thought he was fucking Dexter, but he couldn't. He cocked it all up, of course. He thought he was as clever as Dexter because he watched all those programs. He knows if Dexter's even a real person. And then she thought she was clever too. Probably thought she probably did get some leniency because she was pregnant with his baby. And I mean, it's not the baby's fault, but God, where is that child now? Where are the children? Let's just hope that those children have been adopted and, are just living a life oblivious of who their parents are. That would be my hope. But of course, Shauna can go on to have more children. She's less than 30 years old. Less than 30 years old. Oh my God. I'm just completely... I can find a little video of her talking, because if you saw her talking, no, I need to put a video together properly or do the research properly so I can show you everything, because when you see her being interviewed, She is as cold as ice. She's colder than him. You know, at least he has the grace to break down, you know, and show a bit of remorse. Not that I think he was remorseful, but, you know, it's like show some emotion. She never showed any emotion. She is as cold as ice. And she is now walking the streets somewhere in the UK, and she could be anywhere. And she could do anything, because it wasn't a case of a woman being led astray. Not that I even believe in that anyway. Nobody could lead you astray to murder somebody and dismember them, unless, you know, you had that. So there's something fucking wrong with you as well. But she wasn't like some little, you know, doormat to him. She was just as willing as participant. Her text showed that. The text showed that she was just as willing a participant as he was. And also with her DNA being found on the glasses, the shield, you know, the plastic shield that was worn while poor Becky was cut into pieces, then that proved that she was an active participant. It wasn't just that she knew about it and she didn't participate in it, she participated in all of it. And she's now, after 7 years, free. God, I hope it's making you angry too. There's got to be, I mean, you know, and as I said, I don't believe in vigilante justice, but that mother, the poor mother, and all the family of Becky, how do you live with that, knowing that it's horrible enough to lose your child to that sort of incident, and then living, but at least knowing that they're behind bars and hopefully they're having a miserable time and they'll never see the light of day again, is one thing. But to know that they at the age of 29, I think she is, come out, she's got a whole life in front of her, and even if she doesn't get her children back, she can have more children. She's got plenty of time. She'll meet some other fucking idiot who wants to take her on. There's, you know, them sort of women. Oh, you know, well, I suppose she won't even have to tell people who she is. I'm presuming she's got a different identity. I mean, she could look completely different now. I mean, young girls, they change, don't they? They change their appearance. It's easy to change your appearance so that you don't look the same, and nobody would put two and two together. So I'm sorry to get, you know, I just want, you know what I'm like, so I just wanted to vent. I just wanted to talk about it. I just couldn't keep it inside. And unfortunately, for you, I'm telling you, but I know that you will share my indignation and anger, and that makes me feel better to be able to talk about it to some like-minded people. You know, what the hell? So, sending out my prayers for Becky's family, for Becky, of course. And I will do a video soon with the full details. It's not a nice story. Well, I know none of them are nice stories, but I mean, it's a particularly horrible story. But Becky must not be forgotten. We can't forget these victims. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes it is sad doing true crime cases, etc. But the important thing is these victims can never be forgotten. And women like Shauna Hoare have to be held up as, and men like Becky's stepbrother, they all have to be held up and made accountable. They can't just be forgotten, the horrible things that they did, because they've served 7 fucking measly years in prison. Oh, so yes, please look after yourself. You are the most important person. Remember to live and love wisely and carefully. My God, see, the thing is, if you're a man, It could be you who bumps into Shauna Hoare, if you're a younger guy, you know, with the possibility to a relationship. Or it could be if you're a woman, it could be your son. Imagine your son brings home his new girlfriend and you realise who it is. Oh my God. Anyway, so until I see you again in the next video, may your gods go with you and fly free, Becky.